For those who don't know me, I'm Sean Carroll, Associate Director of the Monitoring Club and Athletics Advancement. I appreciate everyone joining us this evening for I think our first ever with this group, our Notre Dame rowing chat with head coach Martin Stone. As you know, Martin is the only coach in the program's history, which began competing in 1997. Martin has guided the Fighting Irish to 10 conference championships and 9 trips to the NCAA's. The program has produced Olympians, world champions, valedictorians, doctors, scientists, and engineers throughout the years. And the Monogram Club presented Martin with an honorary monogram in 2017. Martin and the Fighting Irish are currently ranked 20th nationally and opened the season last weekend at the Cardinal Invitational in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. We're also excited to have Notre Dame rowing alumna and Olympian Molly Bruggeman joining us as chat moderator this evening. Molly is a 2014 Notre Dame graduate who was a 3-time All-American with the Fighting Irish. She competed with Team USA in the women's 8 event at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. She also was an alternate for the 2020 Tokyo Games. Molly helped Team USA win gold at the 2018 World Championships and silver at the 2016 World Championships in the Cockasus 4 event. Before I pass it off to Molly, I just want to say a quick word of thanks to everyone joining us tonight. We do these chats exclusively for Monitoring Club members, program alumni, Rockney Athletics Fund members, and other friends of the athletics department and the rowing program so that you can stay connected and hear directly from Coach Stone. Thank you very much for your support and continued commitment to the Fighting Irish. And with that, Molly, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Let me just go ahead and ask that you put yourselves on mute if you want to ask a question. So thank you. And like Sean said, my name is Molly Bruggeman, class of 2014. A little bit about myself before we kick it over to Martin. I, like a couple of you, I'm sure, was pretty much brainwashed to want to go to Notre Dame at an early age. I like to say my dad was class of 81. My mom was a class of 82 at St. Mary's. And I had a large number of family members who attended Notre Dame. So I fell in love with that at an early age. I looked at a couple other places, but Notre Dame had my heart from the beginning. I also had a sister who graduated class 2017. So large amount of family members and as well as a cousin on the lacrosse team. So loved it at Notre Dame. Martin and I keep in touch throughout my time in the Olympic in my Olympic years. I am currently training for LA, coming off of a elbow surgery, and a little bit about my time at Notre Dame. I lived in McGlynn. I was a pre-med and anthro major, so ALPP, shout out to all my pre-med kids. And like Sean said, most recently got back from the Paris Olympics, and enjoyed rowing in primarily varsity 8 under Coach Stone. And like I said, loved my time. And so let's go to the man of the hour, Martin, who's gonna give us a little couple opening remarks and insight into the season so far.
First of all, that's kind of the surprise bomb from Molly that she's going to 28. Everybody's been wondering. That's been the question. So now confirmed tonight. So
yes,
awesome.
Yes, awesome. Can't stay away.
And also they're going to add the mixed 8 event, it looks like, right?
There's a possibility of that, which I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I think somebody asked a question even about a couple of events, so we'll get to that later. But yeah, tell us about yourself, please.
Well, I've been here a while, so 27 years. So I don't know much before that. It's been, like I said, I've been here a while, and I think it's been great. First of all, I want to thank everybody for taking some time to ask the questions and hopefully get some insight and learn a little bit about more what we're doing here. So it's good. I think overall the programs are pretty healthy and going up. We're ranked 20th this year so far, an early season. Recruiting's going very well. We have 17 coming in for the class of 20 that will come here in 25. So a large number. And then we've already got some commits for 26. And it's interesting. The one thing that when I ask after the visit, like, well, what surprised you the most about the visit? It always comes back to the team and how great the women on the team were and how friendly and how close they were and how tight. And I think that overall is the most important thing for us. So it's pretty good. So good. I think the spring season, it's obviously very early, but it's going pretty well. We have 5.5 worth of people that are rowing, so it's a pretty large team trying to figure out. We got on the water a little bit late this year. So it wasn't ideal. We were planning to get on right after junior JPW weekend, and it was probably the second coldest week all winter was that time. So we're probably a little behind there, but spring break went very well training wise. And then racing, I think was pretty good. So now we're back training. We're recovering a little bit this week, and then we leave for San Diego next week to race out there, which would be so probably it's kind of the unofficial opening of the regatta season, and it's the largest race. Pretty fast teams. So excited.
Yeah, Crew Classic. Who are
Crew
the
Classic.
big standouts at Crew Classic this year that you'll be facing?
I think there's probably 8 in the Jessup Whittier Cup, which is the premier race. So it's Texas, who's defending national champion, Cal, Washington, us, USC, UCLA, Washington State, and University of San Diego. So there's some speed there. And as always, the same we've always been. The philosophy is to challenge ourselves in the race season and go and see what it's like and not back down from anybody. So
definitely, I think that's key to preparation for ACCs and looking ahead from there even. And I love what you said about the feedback you got about the team. I think that was so true when I was there, that what made me want to come to Notre Dame was just the tight-knit community that the team had. And it felt like family, honestly. So right. It's good to hear that that's still the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's like almost verbatim
right
for probably the last few years when I've asked like what surprised you, that's been the answer. So
that's awesome, and I'm sure a lot of people resonate with that are on this call. That's awesome. That's great. 17. Wow, I cannot believe that. Is that the biggest recruiting class we've had in a while?
I think so. Right. So yeah. So
maybe even, I mean, we had a big class in 2014, right, but 17 is huge.
17's large. So, and they all got their acceptance letters yesterday, so it was a big deal for them. So
that's awesome. Best time ever. Okay, awesome. And also for everybody on the call, we'll have time for extra questions at the end, but I guess we'll just go ahead and jump into those that were pre-submitted. So Shannon, class 2005, asked about, let me just read it for you all. Coach Stone, it's been hard to believe it's 20 years since my class graduated. How has the Notre Dame rowing program evolved over the past 20 years? And what has kept you at Notre Dame over those years?
I think like facilities have evolved and equipment has evolved, those types of things. I think support from the athletic department has evolved and has gotten bigger and stronger, but I don't think what's changed is the people. I think the people are the same as they were 20 years ago. We touched on it a little bit there about like how tight the team was and putting the team first. I don't think that has changed. And that's also why the reason I love being here, right? It's the people that makes it great. So the weather is not great for a rowing coach, I'll tell you that much. But the people are make it so worthwhile. So
100%.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. That's a great answer. Honestly, I feel for that about the facilities. Great facilities on campus, but recently the boathouse was built 2015, right?
Yeah, opened 2016.
The McConnell Boathouse. Yep, 2016. I think there were definitely moments of resilience building in the cold winter months in the now defunct cement boathouse that we rode out of in my time. But I'm really glad that the team is able to utilize those amazing facilities. I've seen them myself. I got to come to campus this fall and for the football game, we were honoring Olympians. So I got to see it in person, and if anybody hasn't gone to see it, I highly recommend you stop by campus sometime soon.
You're always more than welcome. Anybody's more than welcome to stop in, and just be prepared to say a few words to the team. That's kind of the only cost. So
yes, the only cost.
Other than that, more than welcome. Come watch a practice and whatnot. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, what's next? Let's see. What are some of your favorite memories through the years? And you can't say that my class.
I was thinking about this. I think Yeah, there's definitely some races and whatnot, but more so as I think like some of the coming back on the bus rides and just hanging out and talking to people and seeing people like in the erg room hit a PR or something like that. Those things were, I think, are our favorite memories where you see that growth coming through. By all means, like the racing's fun and whatnot, but the personal growth that you see year over year over year is probably the best memories.
Yeah, gosh, I have so many memories of getting through some barriers mentally, physically, on the erg, on the water there, that even now reflecting back on are super visceral. Like I can think back to like moments in practice where I was like, God, I was, classes were tough, practice was tough, it was all tough, but they changed, my perspective and made me a tougher person. And thanks to you, obviously. But yeah, I can totally see you, feeding off of that energy. My favorite memory, I'm just going to throw this out there. One of my favorite memories is, I'm sure everybody knows, is when Coach Stone gets very pumped up, amped up, he likes to smack the side of the launch. And I think that's one of the most endearing qualities about you, actually, is how excited you can get for us when we're succeeding, or we need like that kick in the butt, right? It's those moments that like when you feel that reaction and like you can tell how passionate you are about what we're doing. It's exciting as an athlete to see that as well. So keep that up, I should say.
Keep it up.
Yeah. But along those lines as a coach, I submitted this question, but what's been your biggest challenges? I think there's, like you said, the weather is probably a big one, but what would you say has been one of your bigger challenges or yeah?
I think trying to stay ahead of the curve and what's going on in rowing.
You're right.
Trying to figure that out. One of the obstacles is we are kind of isolated here compared to other rowing programs across the country. So trying to learn and stay ahead of the curve and be innovative in what we're doing. I think that's probably the most challenging right now. I think that what's going on in college athletics, that's always been going on. It's just a different name right now.
Definitely. So, right. Yeah. So, being there since 1997, you've seen it all. I feel like at this point, you've seen a lot. And speaking of recent changes, we had a lot of questions around NIL and the impacts it has on college sports. What do you think about that? Positive, negative. How do you see that changing women's rowing?
I think if just this NIL, the name, image, and likeness segment, like you read about it and what's going on with some of the revenue generating sports. Like we've over the last 3 years, we've had 60 official visits. Kids come in on official visits, and not one of them brought it up. It wasn't on the radar. Now, coming up on the 7th is the House settlement, which is the NCAA's hope that I think that there'll be some regulation of revenue share, NLI, and some regulation in some athletics. So I think where we'll see some impact there is that teams women's rowing rosters will be limited to 68 on the team. And so that's probably the thing that's most impactful, us trying to manage our roster and making sure that we're not over recruiting, that we're not recruiting 80 and then like have to 12 people, you're not going to be here. So I think that's probably for us the biggest challenge coming down the pike. And then when you read about the House settlement and people are kind of confused, there's kind of the next portion of it is the revenue share that the athletes will share in some portion of the revenue from media, but that's primarily going to go to the athletes that generate the media. So not necessarily rowing unless we can figure out how to get, 1 million people to watch rowing 7 times a year. I'm not sure that we're going to get there.
We can work on that.
We can work on it. If we can, that would be great. If anybody has ideas, let me know. The next portion is the NLI portion, which is name, image, and likeness. And that's going to be somewhat regulated. And that's open to any student who wants to promote herself and be able to promote products using her name, image, and likeness. And the NCAA, that will end up being regulated as well to roughly fair market value, whatever I think a third party is going to determine what that's going to look like. So those are the three components. And like, by all means, if you can make money off whatever you're doing, and that's great. And I think you will probably see, like many of the Olympic sports, mostly that's going to be driven by social media and your following and your brand. So if you have a lot of social media followers, you're going to be able to make some money. So, but I think within our team, I mean, I think we're focused on hey, like we said earlier, like I'm an engineer and I got to get through this, and I'm doing this. I got to get through school. I don't have the time to focus on this other stuff right now. I don't think it's impacted us that much. So
right. I mean, with the schedule that a engineering student, pre-med student,
Right.
what have you, to be able to think about outside of practice, creating content, managing that, it's probably that's a big barrier, I would imagine too. Just time is, you don't have a lot of it as an athlete, as a engineer. That's for sure.
I do have confidence that as this comes about, that the athletic department of the university is going to navigate it very well. I think that, like I said, I've been here 27 years and I've seen lots of crises, and we seem to navigate them and figure it out and still maintain our values, as our educational values as a university. And so I just don't see that not continuing. So I feel confident as we go, as the House settlement comes up on the 7th and kind of they figure out what it really means, that we'll be fine. So
definitely. When is that date that is decided?
I think the judge is going to say something on the 7th, and then like the final maybe a couple of weeks after that. So
got it. Right. I imagine a lot of it's in flux right now. Are you doing any specifically like planning strategies around recruiting, like you talked about?
I think the recruiting number is the question. So I think we'll probably land on 12 recruits a year, and then maintain that ever like vibrant walk-on group of 4 or 5 walk-ons a year. And if we do that, that gets us to 68. So
right. We had a ton of great walk-ons during my time. I mean,
right.
Let alone, Anna Cockamp, who was valedictorian, started out as a walk-on, right? So those are crucial members of the team, right?
And I think that's in the essence of the essence of the sport, all the way down. Like people mentioned the other day, the boys in the boat, and that's the essence of our sport. And I don't think we want to lose that. I think that
I agree.
We lose something. So that's kind of our strategy going forward.
I agree. That's great. Some fun questions for you now, away from the business of NIL and the future. There's a couple fun questions. If you could add an additional type of race to NCAA rowing, for example, a single, a pair, which would you like to see, and why?
I think the cock squad. Cock squad, because you keep your numbers up. I'm a little leery about putting blind boats out at the NCAA group, and the boat speed, the hull speed is up there. So I think that would be the best. And then you're introducing sculling to help when people go to the Olympic, into the development program, and they're funneled up that way. They have that skill set. I'm not the only coach that says that. I think there's a few of us who would like to see that happen.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's always a discussion of, okay, how do we work together to create a little, those opportunities for athletes who are interested. And I sculled that summer, I think between my sophomore and junior year. We went out, I think, a couple of times in doubles for fun, I believe, maybe preseason,
right.
Just to get, change it up, get the experience. Right. And we spent a ton of time in pairs, which I credit to my success now, I think. Right. And I think the last time we spoke, the team was still going out in pairs a decent amount, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
that's great.
So I think that would just, I mean, as you manage a large program, a single is one boat, right? One person, one boat, that can be kind of
herding cats, as they say.
Herding cats a little bit, but a cock squad, you still have a role for the coxswain on the team.
Mhm.
Like I said, the boat speed and the hull speeds up, so you're developing skills all the way around, and so it's a little
Definitely.
easier to manage, I think.
That would be exciting too, because quads can get quite up to speed,
Right.
like competitive with eights
Right.
to a degree.
And I think that's the
So
idea, that now you've got a boat that's up to speed and
can
competitive.
be
And
training
so,
partners
right.
with, right?
Yep.
That's, yeah, I like that. I like that answer. Thank you, Cindy, who wrote that in. So, and another couple questions here. Will there be any upcoming events that local South Bend area residents can view, regattas, meets, or participate in, like fundraisers?
We don't have anything scheduled. I mean, people can always welcome to stop by the boathouse and say hi and hang out. I think probably more our fall, it would be the time for doing that. The weather's a little bit more predictable in the fall, and we're here. We're not on the weekends in the spring. We're either traveling or we're prepping to race. So I think the fall is the time. I do know that not specific to us, but the South Bend community will have a learn to row during the summer. So if people are in the community and they want to learn to row, the South Bend Scholars do a teaching that we help with.
Awesome. And I feel like football weekends were always very popular for parents to come by and watch from the shore. My parents used to stop by at the now defunct Oaken Bucket to basically heckle us from shore, essentially, as you remember.
Yeah, now people have upgraded to the Crooked U and sit out there on the. So when I'm riding, if I have somebody in my launch and I see parents, I'm like, yeah, who is that? And now, occasionally on Saturday morning, parents are on the bridges, and so yeah,
that's fun.
But I do think there will be an event, and we'll probably have some type of alumni row. I think there's they call it, I think, the Cheer Her Name weekend, and for the Purdue weekend, I think is what I've heard, to bring the women alumni back. So,
heck yeah.
So I think it's a pretty large, expansive thing. And, we do have a boat now named called Cheer Her Name. So we'll do something that weekend for the alums.
I'll put that on my calendar, and I'm sure I'll spread the good news.
Right.
When we nail down that it's Purdue weekend. Okay, great.
Yeah. Awesome. I think the Monogram Club sent out an email earlier this week or last week about it. So
great. Everybody check your email.
Yeah.
And so I guess that leads into our next one. What's the best ways for alumni and friends of the program to support the team and Notre Dame rowing?
I think funding is always great, and that's through the Rockney group or Athletic Advancement or the Monogram Club. I think that's great, and we use those. It directly impacts our athletes, those funds. So whether it's updating our equipment, being innovative and being in front of that, or allowing us to travel more athletes. Like this year, we're going to San Diego with 4.5 boats. We're taking the ACC group and 4 more, but that's all made possible by people helping out through the Rockney Fund. So.
And let me tell you, the California trip that we took, we didn't always go to the Crew Classic, but that trip was one of my favorites that we went to, because without a doubt, it was always snowing on campus, and we were in California, racing, enjoying the sunshine. Let me tell you. So yeah, I completely agree. That's fantastic that you have that many athletes that are able to travel due to those funds. That's awesome.
It's just rude awakening on Monday morning when you get off the bus after the red eye back, but it's like 30 degrees and snowing, right? But
we don't talk about that part, but yes, you're right. You're right.
But I think that's where the most benefactors help us the most, and just it enhances our whole team's experience.
100%, right? And back to the equipment too. Like, we had some of the best equipment that even at my level that you could row in. Right. So thanks to those dollars that are given to us, it's very helpful. And happy to hear that it's still impactful.
Unbelievably so.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. We got another good question. What year in high school does Notre Dame start to consider rowers to join their team?
We can't talk to anybody, have any type of contact, phone, email, back and forth or anything until after June 15th following their sophomore year. So that's kind of that's the time when we can start having that conversation. People can go onto our website and fill out our questionnaire, and we just log it as a whatever class year. And it's just important that you put what class you graduate in, because that allows us, even if you send us an email, that allows us to know what we can say and when we can say it. So.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're like me, who tried to jump the gun and send emails immediately as soon as I could, as soon as I was even thinking about rowing in college. Don't do that. Or do, and then they won't respond.
Yeah. It's not that we don't like you. It's just that it's just important to put what year you graduated in high school. That's the number one thing.
Very important information.
That lets us know. So.
Yes, exactly.
And that also means like, we can't talk to you if you come visit, if you're on campus before that June 15th date or anything like that. So.
Right. Good information. And then I guess also what are you looking for when you are recruiting, and what are your new recruits looking like as you look to build the program in the following years?
Well, I think like number one, are they competitive academically, right? Is admissions going to be giving us the green light? That's always number one. And I think that's, and the earlier you can start on taking a difficult or rigorous curriculum in high school, the better it's going to be. So, and probably trying to max out your APs. That's helpful. It makes it just easier with admissions.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, like, you know, your height, your wingspan, I think that's some of the things that we look at. Your rowing experience, probably maybe more important, your athletic background, right?
Right.
We kind of believe in like multiple sports. Like some of our like Natalie Hofer, who's a senior on the team, rowed U23 All-American.
Mm-hmm.
I think she did band, ran cross country, swam. Rowing was like the third sport on her thing, and she's like one of the top U23 people in the country.
Yes, she's incredible.
So I think that multi-sport athlete, especially type of an endurance, so swimming, cross country, 800-meter runner, miler. So those are types of the things that we start to look like. And those are the measurables. And then the unmeasurables, like, are you going to be a great teammate for us? Right? Are you going to be the person that's really close to your team and is talking to people and, you know, people want to be with? So those are the unmeasurables that we kind of learned through the recruiting process and the visits.
Definitely. I think that's something we talked about on my official visit, even was how I think of myself as a teammate. I feel like I remember discussing that with you, and the importance that it had for you and for the coaching staff, that I was somebody who was going to be building my teammates up and making sure that we were building a program that, you know, we had the same vision. So that was, I mean, I think that's very important. And I think, you know, I'd be remiss not to mention basketball was a pretty big in our walk-on population, I would say, right? Courtney Gabarino.
Yes. That was the last time I played basketball with anybody on the team, because I got scratched up and I decided that it wasn't worth it.
Yes. No, if anybody doesn't know Courtney Gavarino, she's probably one of those competitive basketball players that turned into a rower. And we tried playing basketball one year over finals week and as a team, and it turned into a dangerous game, I would say. there was chance for injury. So yes, I think just competitive and overall great athlete in general too. But yeah, and Natalie, I've been able to get to know her through her U23 experience, and I'm curious what instrument she played in band. That
I don't know.
That's a good question. Yeah, you'll have to ask.
She was a drum major.
I was going to say drum. Thank you, because I was like, oh, something about like rhythm and, well, obviously all rhythm based, but.
And Natalie has an engine that goes, like there's no, she's like the Energizer bunny with like everlasting batteries. Like,
exactly. That's the kind of teammate you want, though. That's the kind of athlete you want. And that's the, you know, kind of athlete I want even now. Somebody who has that engine.
She's hoping to join you in 28. So
I heard that through the grapevine. I'm hoping she will be here in New Jersey soon enough. So
should I ask her to switch to starboard side? Is that like,
Natalie,
starboard? shows up on Friday and she says, Starboard, why? Because Molly said.
I'll take out parenting time with her. Don't
So.
worry. Next time on campus.
So.
Yeah, awesome. I think that's, yeah, I think those are all super, super important qualities and will ensure some success in the future.
Yeah. I mean, we want to surround ourselves with good people that
Yes.
love each other and have fun. I mean, it's a really like what we're asking people to do here between their academics, their athletics, being involved in the community. It's time consuming and type, and nobody wants to be with somebody that's just a brat. So
exactly.
like, so like
in the true sense, don't be
the
a
true
brat.
sense, right? Yeah, you just want to, right? Because we know there's going to be some really bad days, and everybody's going to go down and we call the valley of despair, and like you need somebody to pump you up and help kind of get you going. So
yeah, everybody has those days, but
yeah.
I agree. I think it's crucial you have those. I mean, you're allowed to have those days, right? But
right. Yeah.
it's the string of days, or that it starts to affect other
Right.
teammates, and then you have, yeah. So I agree. It's like getting in the right mindset and being able to handle and be resilient and gritty when the time comes. Super important. Yeah. And so next up question. I think this is an inside joke because I don't know. Andrea, class 2003, says, thoughts on adding Dr. Enough as a team sponsor?
Okay. So when I talk about like remembering the bus rides coming back, so we were coming back from Oak Ridge, Andrea Moni, and Katie McCalden were larger than life and had lots of energy and zest for life, and got this drink. It's like a Mountain Dew called Dr. Enough in Oak Ridge or down in Tennessee. And so that's what they were drinking. And they gave me some, and I had it in the office for like 15 years. And finally I sent it over to Andrea. Andrea was working on campus at the time, and I sent it over to her. So that was yeah. It's probably toxic.
Over to her.
Yeah. So
yeah, apologies. I think my video is struggling at the moment. Sorry about that.
So that's an inside joke on the back of the bus. Like they can't because they were pretty wild. So like hyped up on up.
It's always the back of the bus.
Yeah.
It's always the back of the bus. Let me tell you. Why are they always the rowdiest bunch?
Yeah.
Couldn't be me. Probably it was Krista Dines.
Krista Dines, yes.
It was probably Sarah Gaffers. Come on.
So that's the Dr. Enough story. So
I love it. Okay, one more from Kelly Harrison, class 2000. She says, Coach, what personal strength do you find primarily helps you succeed in coaching?
I think being patient at times. I've learned patience and understand that it's an educational process and it doesn't go straight up. It's kind of, valley despair, grow, valley despair, grow. And I think that's it. And I get to see, like, I have a great job. I get to see people, some of the smartest, brightest people in the world out here, and great athletes striving, and I get to see them like making improvements and changing their lives and growing. So that's inspiring to me on a daily basis. It's great.
Patience is a hard one, I will say. It's a skill that you have to learn. But awesome. Yeah. Okay. That's all I have right now from submitted questions, but let's go ahead and open it up and see if the crowd has any questions here. Oh, the Scap family. Jump in.
Steve already asked a question about the NIL. I'll ask one, and I think I might have stepped out of the room while Molly was talking about this, but has the not so new boathouse had an impact on your recruiting?
Oh, I think so. I think it's been really positive. So kind of a recruiting weekend for us is that we will try to have one meal in the boat. We'll have I think we find it down to practice if a recruit's coming, if our recruiting visit is Saturday, Sunday, the recruits get here Saturday afternoon, we have practice, then we have a team dinner in the boathouse on Saturday night. And it's morphed into now it's karaoke night as well with the recruits. So I think when we talk to people, it's a pretty positive experience, and it's allowed us to do just do those type of fun things. And then we have, and I think for the recruiting part it does, and it's a top rated facility where you can, top equipment, you have a good place to be. So all those I think play into it. And I think like we said about the people and be friendly, that's part of that team, that recruit dinner that we have with the recruits after practice on Saturday, and is a big deal. Right.
Which you couldn't really do in the pole barn.
In the metal building.
No, not so much. So
you could sit by the back next to the heater for a little bit and warm your toes up.
Yeah.
And no, that's awesome. And as somebody who's actually, utilized it in my postgraduate years, I think it is just like such a beautiful building. And I'm glad you're utilizing it for that too. And for, that sounds fun. Karaoke night. I'm down to join.
Yeah. Guess you're in the fall sometime for a weekend. So
yes. Oh man, that sounds fun. Oh, okay. So we had I think we talked about this already. Favorite memory from Katie asked this. I think people are just hoping you talk about their class, I bet.
Yeah. Katie and Andrea taking over the bus while I'm hyped up on Dr. Enough from an 8-hour trip coming back from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. It's like highlight of my memory.
Oh my gosh. You can't, as in it's burned in there and you can't get it out.
Yeah, not at all.
Favorite class ever. Oh, what class were you, Andrea and Katie?
3, I think, right?
We were 2003.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Definitely amongst one of the favorites.
Oh,
So we're real old now, but young at heart.
Young at heart, drinking your Dr. Enough at the back of the bus. Woman after my
And no
heart.
one's surprised to know that I had to help Katie McCaldon with tech support to get on the call, right? So
teammates still helping teammates, even all these years later.
But yes, and hello, and I'm happy to see some familiar names on the participant list. So nice to chat with everybody.
Thanks for being here. It's a really great opportunity for me to also connect with people across different years, which I don't get the option to do very often. But yeah. Anybody else want to throw a question in the chat, or just go off and ask one before we wrap up a little bit? Anybody else? Please, this is your time to ask Martin anything your heart desires, within limits, of course.
Somebody asked about the update on my family. I thought that
was okay. I didn't see.
So Jack is married and lives in Evansville, Indiana, and works in Mount Vernon, Indiana, as a welding engineer. Nice. Noah is a sophomore at Ohio State, also a welding engineer. That's his major. So, and Jack went to Ohio State as well. So that's kind of Amy and I are now empty nesters for the last 2 years. So it's been a fun. So that's kind of the update. Jack's married. So
incredible.
Yeah.
I always like to tell Martin about my favorite, one of my favorite memories involving I guess it was Noah. I think the youngest, right? Noah's youngest.
Yes.
He came to practice one day. He's probably 6, 7, around that time. He came to practice because Amy dropped him off, and he is crying hysterically because he doesn't want to go to soccer practice. And as we're pulling the boats onto the dock, we get a good look at what future motherhood could look like, and it was pretty incredible. Yeah. Oh, thanks for the picture. That was great.
Yeah.
In the chat, just looking now.
How
many other people have fallen off the dock? Oh gosh, Katie, great question. How many other people have fallen off the dock into the water? I'm hoping
Like
Well, on purpose or not on purpose? I'm not.
not
Yeah.
very many. I can't recall the last time somebody fell off the dock. Somebody's flipped the boat off the dock like a
Oh, I've
pair,
definitely flipped the boat.
but
Yes,
not
I've
like
definitely
walked off the dock. So
not recently.
yeah, no.
A
The
nice,
dock's a little bigger, a little longer, a little
a,
wider now.
a
So
lot bigger, a lot wider. Yes.
good.
Not so many opportunities to flip off of it
No,
or fall into it.
no.
Awesome. Great.
Hey, Coach Martin, this is
Yep.
Dan O'Grady.
Sure.
I'm Lauren's father.
Right.
Thank you very much for this forum. Hey, I was wondering, how have you seen or would like to see the broader Notre Dame women's rowing family support the team better? I'm thinking alumni, parents, potential recruits, broader fan
Yeah.
base.
I think
Either virtually for practices at regattas,
right.
summer programs. Just I think obviously the Zoom call, you got a huge support base. How can we really lean in and do more?
That is a very good question and it's kind of multifaceted. One, I think whenever anybody's in town to come to campus, whatever, more than welcome to come down to the boathouse and say hi. And like I said, they're coming to practice. The only cost is I might ask you to talk to the team for a couple of minutes, but that's always great. And the current team always likes to see what their future looks like. So I think that's that. And I think our plan would be to do something around the alumni row around the Cheer Her Name weekend next year at Purdue. And then, of course, coming to the races. Like if you're in Southern California and you want to come to San Diego, we have a big tent. More than welcome to come in that. And when we go to Florida, the same way. And then, like as much as you can be involved, I think in talking with the Rockney group and athletic advancement in those areas, and I think they have a pretty good strategy on moving forward. So, and of course, always just reaching out via email or phone call or whatnot, and we can just chat about what's going on with the program. I'm always happy to share.
That's great.
Awesome question.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for that. All right. Any more questions? And then otherwise, team. Well, alumni row, yes. Alumni row this fall, Purdue weekend. Stay tuned for details, Andrea.
Yep. Yeah. We'll make it happen. I think it's a huge celebration, right? It's 50 years of women's sports at Notre Dame. And so we'll be involved in that. And there's also another group, kind of the ND Dames. If anybody's interested in rowing, they come usually Labor Day weekend to come in and row. And it's the group of women that probably started in the 70s, kind of the club group, but they're always looking for new people. So.
Awesome.
Okay, Coach Stone, I have to warn you. I took a job in Culver, Indiana, and as part of that, I'm going to start coaching rowing. And
Great!
Here's my 11-year-old.
Awesome.
So I'm going to be having to call all of you guys for some advice.
Sure.
That's great.
Oh, I love it. I hope you guys are doing well. We follow you a lot. I'm doing my grad school program with the graduate data science program too.
Awesome.
There at Notre Dame. So we're missing you guys. Can't wait to send my own children up there to visit you.
Like Culver's like beautiful. I remember we moved. I remember I was coaching at Navy, and the Navy coach came back after visiting Culver and said, like, "Hey, Martin, there's this place called Culver, and you drive through these cornfields and all this thing, and you come over this hill, and then there's beautiful campus." And I'm like, "All right, like whatever." So that we move out here and we go down for a race, and my wife is with me, and she's like, "Wow, this is beautiful." so lucky you. It's a great lake, great boathouse. And a great
I
sport.
don't think it definitely rivals the pole barn that we had, but you guys have upgraded since. I've seen it.
Yes.
A beautiful upgrade. Yes.
So it's great. But yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, so for anybody who's curious about what the old boathouse looks like these days, And if you're local or in town, South Bend Community Rowing is making good use of it. It's still there.
You can reminisce on your days there.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like a building like the new boathouse, I think changed the complexion of this part of town from
Oh
everything
yeah.
that's gone up from the boathouse all the way up to campus now is like if you were 20, it's much different than it was 20 years ago. So it's unbelievable. And we were the new facility here was the kind of the linchpin that started it.
It is
So,
beautiful. The neighborhood's super nice, and there's some
yeah.
really great coffee shops nearby too.
Yeah.
It's like, dang, if I only had this, I would never leave the boathouse.
Right.
Oh, but yeah, it's great. Awesome.
Cool.
Great. Well, Sean, we're good to wrap this up. Thank you everybody for coming,
Yeah.
and thank you, Coach Stone. Sorry,
Well,
Martin.
yeah, well, I appreciate everybody taking the time, and I love seeing everybody and hearing from people and all the stories. And you know, it's great, and so it warms my heart to hear from people. So
thank you for doing so much for this program and all the time you spent. And you've obviously there's some amount of people on this call and otherwise that have really been lucky to have you as a coach. So thank you very much.
yeah.